share the screen again. Okay, what is it? Why is it doing that? How to do that? Go on. Good. First thing you have to do is to try to understand what you have to do, the instructions. Okay. The second thing is write your introduction. Third is pick out key features and write the overview. Overview is the main features, the main points, but doesn't include details. Okay, no data there. And four, you have to write details. It will be the first paragraph for the details, and then comes the second paragraph of the details. You can write it in 1 or 2 paragraphs. Usually you do it in 2 paragraphs, okay? There are 2 paragraphs for giving details. So, and 5, you will check your work for everything, whether you did everything correctly, whether you included the intro part, whether you wrote, whether you included the overview in it and you included the main features in the overview, whether you gave the details and accurate information, provided accurate information depending on the chart or the graph, whatever you are given, not giving the information from your own point of view, okay? It's not asking your point of view, it's just asking you to present whatever you see. The right information that is written, that is in front of you. And of course, check your grammar and vocabulary in the end, okay? So this is the 5-step plan. So introduction, let's go deeper into each part, okay? You have to simply paraphrase the question, okay? For example, you are given this kind of task. It says, the chart below shows the number of men. We saw it. So it was this one. This one in a small, you see it's very small. It was the same I read for you. The chart below shows the number of men and women in the further education in Britain in 3 periods and whether they were studying full-time or part-time. You have to summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and also make comparisons where relevant. So this is the introduction. You have to simply paraphrase whatever you see here, okay? So your task of writing the introduction includes paraphrasing of whatever you see here. Paraphrasing is saying the same thing with different words, okay? Okay, so we will work on this more in task 2 lesson, but it simply means that using different words, it says to say the same thing is the main task here. The meaning must be the same. The words should be different. You shouldn't say something else. I mean, you should use the synonyms that express exactly the same thing. Okay, you shouldn't overwork there. Okay, we'll see the example later. You don't have to change every single word. We'll see it later. Okay, here, a good student example. The chart below shows the number of men and women in further education in Britain in 3 periods and whether they were studying full-time or part-time. So the paraphrasing of the good student will be the graph. You see, chart changed to graph, which means the same. It's okay. Shows changed to displays. It means the same, right? The number of men and women, the number of didn't change. This is what I was talking about. So if you don't find the right word to change it, don't overthink, because you will make lots of mistakes by changing the word and putting another word that doesn't mean the same, and it will just confuse the reader and it will take your points away. Better to leave the same words. You don't need to change every single word. This is all about it. Okay, so the number of is the same. Men and women in further education. Men and women was changed to males and females, which is the same. In further education, tertiary education, which is the same. Again, the person changed the word further education to tertiary education. Education, the word is the same, of course, but we don't look at the word education as a separate word, but as a part of a collocation phrase. Okay, further education, tertiary education, the same. In Britain was changed to England, Scotland, and Wales, which is right. In 3 periods, so in 3 time periods, you see, 3 and period is the same, but we don't treat them as separate words, but as a collocation again. Okay, so word combination, which is all right. It means the student changed the whole collocation. And they were studying full-time or part-time. They were full-time or part-time students. Again, collocation changed. Okay, full-time, part-time, there is no other word that would be easy to change. That is why the student kept these phrases, but made a different collocation in this case. Okay, just a second. Okay. Is everything clear here about paraphrasing and writing the intro part? Vyacheslav?
Yeah, it must be clear, but I don't understand why we need to change so much.
It's called paraphrasing. It's called the purpose is to see how good your vocabulary is.
I see.
And whether you will be confused and you will start using different words that you think is the same, but they will completely change the meaning of what you're saying.
So the purpose is to confuse me, I see.
To confuse, yes, that's right, to confuse. Whether you will be confused or not, whether you're as professional in writing as you think.
No,
or
I'm not.
whether you're worth band 7 and plus in writing or not, writing task 1. So we'll see now the example of a bad student. It's the good student, then comes paraphrasing. Okay, so we discussed it. A poor student example. The chart below shows the number of men and women in the further education in Britain and the 3 periods and whether they were studying full-time or part-time. So the data exemplifies the paraphrasing is
frequency of girls and boys.
The data exemplifies the frequency of girls and boys. So what he did, the chart below shows, exemplifies, it's okay, the frequency, the number is this not the same as frequency. No, it's a different word. It's a different, yeah, exactly. It's a different word. Men and women change to girls and boys. Come on. so a boy is different from man, and a woman is different from a girl. Yeah. So the other mistake is that further education, schooling is the education for anything. Like it can be school, it can be kindergarten, it can be high school, it can be I don't know, college, whatever. Schooling is a very general word, but here we have further education, and tertiary education would be a best replacement for it. And in Britain, it's right, UK is not Britain, because UK is the United Kingdom of Great Britain, Northern Ireland. Okay, so it's not UK. And it says 3 periods, and from 1970 to 1991, it's not 3 periods. What is this? Okay, so it's definitely not that. And
That's
whether they were studying full-time or part-time, permanent or casual. Come on,
Casual.
what's that? Permanent is like all the time. It's not full-time at all. So, and casual
Yes.
is like usual. It's not part-time.
Yes.
It's completely different. I mean, the meaning is quite different from what we
The meaning
want to.
changed.
Completely.
Yes.
It's nonsense, I would say. Vyacheslav, what do you think about it? I mean, this is an example of confusing a student or or something like that.
It is very bad example, but I see some mistakes I can make.
Similar to this. I'm not sure you will make similar. I mean, you would definitely not
stupid
say
mistake,
girl
but
Not
and
far away.
boy
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something casual and permanent. I'm not sure you will do
For
this kind of
example,
mistakes.
I know much about UK and Britain. The difference
Possibly.
between. So you explain it earlier.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
The Northern Ireland is the difference.
Yeah, at least, but there are so many mistakes in only 2 lines, you see. This kind of, so it's a very good example of a bad student here. So you have to be careful about changing the words, and every single word, no necessity to change if you don't know exactly what the word could replace it.
Yeah,
Okay.
as you said, it was the vocabulary test. So
Exactly.
we should concentrate on vocabulary.
Exactly,
In
right,
this.
you are. Learn lots of synonyms or maybe ways to explain it differently, but differently, not so differently, so that to go away from the main.
This exact meaning.
Exact meaning.
99.9% same meaning.
Exactly. Okay, next point is the overview. Introduction we wrote, now we're going to the overview. This is the most important part of your task 1 response. If you do not pick out the key features and include them clearly in your overview, you will not be able to get 7 or above. So these are the main features that you have to include. There is a huge amount of bad information that would be really confusing and affect your overview. We'll go deeper into it. Now, bad advice. Most people will tell you just to look for the biggest, the smallest, the highest, the lowest in the data, okay? Baizar, can you turn off your audio, please? Thank you. The biggest difference is the highs and the lows and the interesting angles. Come on, there are no interesting angles. What is it? So it's not asking for your opinion. What is interesting, what is not? It's not about it. Some of this might be the key features, but not sometimes, but not all the time. So, and it is confusing. And this task is the most difficult because you can never guess what it will be about, and you never know what you should pay attention to at that moment. Okay, you should try just to read the information that you see in that chart, in that graph, in that table. And this task is training you to look for specific things rather than the actual key features. Okay, specific things. First of all, you have to decide when you look at the, let's say, chart or graph, you have to decide whether it's static or dynamic. Static is more about single things, okay? Whether the data is static is about particular point in a time, okay? For example, 1966, and talk about this data in 1966 and in 1967. So there are 2 points. It's about static, okay? So if the data is over a period of time, let's say from 1966 to 1970, it's from 2, it's a period of time, it's not 2 points, okay? It is dynamic, okay? if the data is static, we normally would not look for general trends. Okay, so because you are talking about specific time, we're not talking about trends, the changes going up, going down, increasing, decreasing. Okay, so there are no trends. So this is an example of dynamic data. Why? You can tell me why. Why is it dynamic?
From my perspective, it is a graph with many points on the x-axis, so it is dynamic.
Look at the task. The task says about it. Can you see what is written?
Changes.
Yeah, and it says from 2003 to 2012. It means it wants you to talk about a period of time. It's not either in 2003 and in 2012. It's from two. It's a period of time. Okay, so if it's a period of time, then it is dynamic, and you have to talk about the trends. Okay, the trends. And here you see the trends for burglary, car theft, and robbery. An example of static data is this. It says computer ownership by education level 2003 and 2010. See, you have 2 points only. And
Okay. Yeah, this chart is categorical. The previous was on the timeline. So timeline is dynamic and categorical is static.
Yeah, and of course, it's easier to understand from the task itself. When you read the task already, the instructions, you can understand from the instructions. It says from to, and here it says 2002 and 2010. These are 2 different points. There is no from to, okay? There is no period here. And here we have different categories like no high school diploma, high school graduate, college incomplete, bachelor's degree, postgraduate qualities. So here you have different categories. And we don't have a kind of a trend. We don't speak about a trend here. Okay, picking out key features. Judge each question on its own merits. This is about each chart can be about separate thing. Okay, so you can never guess, and you have to try to read whatever, to say whatever you see in it. Do not apply objective criteria to subjective data. It means try to say whatever is really given, to not try to change it or to tell your own point of view on what you think. It's not about your point of view. It's about understanding the data, reading the data, understanding it, and explaining it in a written form. You will hate this, but there is no other way. Okay, so of course, it is really complicated. You will hate it, but there is no other way. Look at the data and pick out the 2 to 4 most significant features. If you only could mention 2 to 4 things, what would you say? For example, you are given, there are some psychological tests, yes? You are given a picture, you look at it, and you have the question, what 4 things can you see? Yes, and you say, I see this, I see that, I see 3, I see this, and I see that. Okay, so the same here. If you could think, if you could see and speak about 2 to 4 things about this chart or bar chart or pie chart or whatever, what would you say about it? Okay, try to think about what you see and what you can say about it. Not everything you should say, but there are main features you have to mention from 2 to 4. Picking out key features. Find a reliable source of sample. Task 1 reports. I mean, you can use the sources from those 4 websites I mentioned in the previous lesson. Attempt to pick out the key features, compare, you have to practice, this is all about it. Compare with reliable source, I mean, compare with a tasks, already done tasks, and see whether you did it well or not. And repeat for multiple questions and multiple types of questions, because there are different types of bars, charts, or whatever, okay? Let us bring an example of a real overview. So the same overview. So the first thing you have to pay attention is what I showed here is that in the overview part, you don't need to give details. You have to speak about the main features. What you see what you see in these 3 lines. First line, yellow one, went down. Yeah, went down. You look at the point at the beginning and in the end. In the beginning and in the end only. So you see that it was up and it went down in the end, right? Red one went up and the blue one stayed the same. These 3 things are the main features that you have to include in your overview. And the example is in the left column. You can say overall burglary decreased dramatically. You see dramatically, the word is used because you see a big change over the entire period. Car theft increased, and despite some fluctuation, robbery remained relatively unchanged. Okay, so relatively unchanged. There is maybe a little change, but almost no.
So
Okay.
much.
Come again. Not too much, right? No data, no detail. In overview part, you have to give this short and direct information what it is about, okay? One is going up, the other is going down, the other stays the same, okay?
Yes.
Good. Support your overview with details. It's already in the next paragraph coming. Think of your task 1 report as going further and further into details. Introduction, this is what it's about. You said already. Overview, we discussed. This is a summary of the key features, up, down, and the same. And the details already. Here are details of the most important features. You already give details about it part. And you will not write about everything. No need. Details. It is essential that you organize your data in a logical manner, and in other words, how you are going to make it easy for the reader to understand. The most important thing here is to make it easy to understand. Okay, so if you write in a way that the reader does not understand anything, so it's not going to give you points here. Okay, when you're writing, always think of the reader. Okay, so it's all about the reader. Remember that they are testing your ability to clearly report what you see. Yeah, what you see, that's right. An example of a detail. The number of burglaries, this is already details, okay? It's not the overview. The number of burglaries started the recorded period at just under 3,500. You see, 3,500, okay? Under. And increased slightly to around 3,750 when in 2004. You see, the writer gives exactly what he says, okay? No more, no less, exactly. Don't invent information. It will not give you points. It will take you away. I mean, your points away. There was then a sharp decline year on year. Yes, year on year. And until it reached a low of much over 1,000 incidents in 2008. It's a very, very good detailed information. It then increased slightly to just below 1,500 the year after, and remained relatively stable until 2012. So if you see the arrows on yellow line, I put, You see 1, increase, decrease, increase, and stable. Okay, so I divided it into 4 parts. Okay, so you can decide in 4 parts, 2 parts, 3 parts, you decide. So I decided to divide it into 4 parts, but I did it in a way so that it's easier for the reader to read and understand. Okay, in this case. Okay, so is everything clear here in this part? Do you find it easy, difficult, how complicated it seems? No?
Where is the line in detailization? How
Come
far
again.
should it go?
Come again?
The line in detailization.
Uh-huh.
How much details should we provide?
The more
Much enough to draw
much
this
enough,
picture?
yes, you can go through this picture, and you shouldn't invent you shouldn't invent new information. You should try to give some details, but not everything. Okay.
No opinion, just the report.
No opinion.
Okay.
No opinion. No. Avoid doing that. Okay. It's not asking your opinion. It's asking you to read, testing how well you can read and how well you can understand the data that is in front of you. Okay. So not even, you can't be the professional in that sphere, like manufacturing, car manufacturing, but you can understand the data there. Okay, learn how to read the data. Okay, so let's see one more time. Paragraph 1, introduction. It's the same paraphrasing we discussed. Overview is the main features. No details, please. Main features like going up, going down, staying the same. Detail 1, it will be about yellow line, red line, blue line. You can take 2 of them, let's say, not all the details. 5-step plan. One more time. Understand the question fully. Read the instruction, try to understand it fully. Introduction, write your introduction. Paraphrasing, overview, the main points. Details, write detailed paragraphs. Do not invent any information, just write exactly what you see in the chart. Don't try not to make mistakes with the numbers and also the dates. Okay, just be attentive in that case. And then you check the work for everything, whether you did everything correctly. What to check? You have to check, did you pick out the correct key features? And you have to include them in the clear overview. Did you paraphrase the question in your introduction or not? Are your details organized logically? Is it easy for the reader to understand? Are your details accurate? I was talking about right or correct dates and also numbers. Please be accurate here, because so they will definitely take the points out. Did you make comparison where relevant to do so? Okay, so maybe you will compare the red line with the blue one, and maybe you will do, maybe you will not, so you decide. And of course, you have to check your grammar accuracy and also vocabulary, whether it's appropriate or not. Okay, so the vocabulary is also, we discussed about it also in the intro part. When you're paraphrasing, try to write the exact synonym for the word. Okay, do not change the woman to girl or something else like that, or schooling by further education. A note on timing. One common mistake that I hear from students is that they spend far too much time thinking about task 1. The result is that overthinking makes it more complicated. That so you don't need it. You just eat into the time you need for task 2. Just take the time for task 2, which you need to do properly too. So don't do that. Try to finish in 20 minutes. Keep it simple. don't don't make it complicated. Think simple. If you can't write band 7 task during the practice tests, okay, during the lessons, you're not going to miraculously get band 7 during the tests. So if you don't do that, the real test, I mean, if you don't do that before the test, so you are not ready. So it's not about the time. It's not about the time management. It's about not being ready. Okay. This one will be your homework, an academic IELTS task 1 question. Okay. I will send you later all the information, the slides, the recording of today's meeting, and of course the homework. So you will do it, you will write it in exam conditions, okay? 20 minutes, strict, read, do, send, okay? I will send you my feedback. And the second one, those ones who are not taking academic English, academic IELTS tests, they don't need to do this. If you're doing a general one, you better write the email. Okay, so you see that the email is much easier. Okay, so you have to write here about this task. Okay, you should decide about the tone and do whatever we discussed during today's lesson. You can look through the slides one more time, watch the video from today's lesson so that to revise the material before you do the task under the exam conditions. Again, 20 minutes, fix the time, write, send it to me for feedback. Okay, so that's it for now. Any questions?
I had a question about reliable source. I didn't understand about sources.
Reliable sources are the 4 websites I mentioned last time. I will send you the reliable sources of IELTS preparation tests. They are called practice tests. The other source, there are lots of sources, and they are really confusing because they are like putting some tasks that are not appropriate, and later you will say, okay, I saw these, but this is not like that here, so they will confuse you. That is why I'm saying use only reliable sources. There are 4 websites that are reliable. I will share with you later.
This is not about sources available during the test.
No.
This is sources for preparation.
For preparation, right?
Okay.
You are.
What's the general idea of this academic tests?
The academic.
Yeah, general.
Or general or academic.
General
I told about it at the
classes.
very beginning. So there are 2 types of IELTS tests, academic and general, and you have to decide which one is necessary for you, because I don't know. For example, Gohad says that she needs the girl here in our class right now. She says that she needs it. She needs only general because she has to take some tests that allows her to continue her work abroad. Like for her work, she needs only general. The other one can need, for example, to in order to continue the education abroad. And for that reason, they would need possibly academic one, because they are going to be in an academic environment, like the university and things like this. Okay, the presentation and some, okay, so lectures and things like this. So that's it. That's simple.
Understood. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. Questions? How about you, Lena? Is everything understandable?
Yes, everything was clear. But I think I will have some questions. So when I'll start doing it. doing our homework.
Sure, but before doing the homework, you better go through the materials one more time, because it was really long and detailed one.
Yes, about academic, it was harder to
Sure
understand
thing.
than
Much harder.
general, because I don't like any charts, diagrams,
You can say that
etc.
again. I hate it too. But you have no choice. I told you it's not for, oh my God, students. Right. But let's say if tomorrow you will need academic IELTS, you have to put that, oh my God, away and do that.
Yes.
Okay. Gohar, what do you think? What do you think about the second part?
For me, yes, it's all was clear,
Mhm.
and I agree with Lena that academic is more complicated.
And you
More
are lucky
complicated.
here.
Yes.
Right. And Paitsar, what about you? Have you ever done something like this? And do you need IELTS for something? I didn't ask you before. Do you need to take IELTS test?
I haven't done such thing
Uh-huh. And
before. I'll try to do it now.
okay, so do you need it for some reason, for a certain purpose? Are you going to continue your education, or maybe you need it for work?
Maybe.
Mhm. Yeah,
I don't
okay.
know
You
yet.
haven't decided yet. You have to decide whether you
Yes.
want general or academic, because there are different, especially from the point of view of writing. Okay, writing and
Yes.
reading is also different. Okay, there.
Yes, I've decided.
Yep. And who else? The others are, I think, yeah, they're gone. So that's it for now. Thank you very much. If no other questions here, I will send you all the information later on, not today, but tomorrow
Yes,
in the
yes.
evening. Okay. So have a great weekend starting from now. And
Thank you.
enjoy the snow in Armenia. And I don't know about Russia right now. Yeah. And what is the weather like, Vyacheslav, in St. Petersburg?
It's spring plus 10 Celsius. Sunny day.
No snow, no.
No,
Uh-huh.
snow has melted almost completely. Only dirty snow we had on the roads.
Oh, okay.
As
Okay.
usual.
Uh-huh. How about you, Lynn? I mean, in Moscow, what's the weather in Moscow? Lena is from Moscow.
The weather is the best that I've seen in winter.
Really? It's plus
Yes.
what?
Plus maybe 10.
Uh-huh.
And
Spring.
yes, all day sun.
Wonderful. Okay. So, and from Armenia, we can send you snow if you like. Okay. That's it for now. Have a great time. And okay, we'll